sometimes, especially if you watch the movies, it feels like Harry only knew one spell. He was always throwing Expelliarmus around. Very occasionally, maybe you'd find another spell like Septum Sempra. But there are so many other spells from the books that just were never shown in the movies. So let's investigate those. So the first one we're going to talk about is actually something that, whilst traditionally not a spell, as such, it is something we are familiar with, and that is the Unbreakable Vow. So it's not traditional in the sense it's not cast from a wand, but it's a magical contract that's formed when two wizards make a promise. Now a third party must be involved to actually bind the spell, and breaking the vow will result in that person dying. It's considered ancient magic, and it's rarely used because of the severe consequences if you were to break it. Moving on, we have Fiend Fire. Now I'm going to try and pronounce it the best I can, so forgive me if they do come across a bit weird. So this is an extremely dangerous and uncontrollable magical fire that is capable of destroying almost anything in its path, and that does include enchanted objects, ghosts, and even the very fabric of the magical world. It's ancient and complex, and it requires a great magical skill to control. Now, it's hardly ever used within the Harry Potter books and things, and within the world, because it's so hard to control. And in fact, it is only mentioned in passing in the Half-Blood Prince, and it's typically just mentions that only skilled witches and wizards can actually perform it. The next one is Muffliato. So this one is a spell where you can actually muffle people's ears. So it fills someone's ears with a buzzing noise, preventing them from being able to overhear conversations. Now, whilst it's not really forgotten, it's a minor spell. It's not widely used or known about, and it's only used in very specific circumstances. It's used really as a subtle spell for preventing eavesdropping. If you're having a private conversation, you might do that on the people around you so they can't hear what you're talking about. The next one is the Killing Curse. Now, again, this isn't a forgotten one, but it's very rarely used, obviously, within the Harry Potter world. So it's obviously one of the three unforgivable curses. Now, I have done a whole video around those and Patronuses and things like that, so do go check that out if you're interested in a bit more information around that. It is forbidden to be used by most witches and wizards. Obviously, it causes death, so I don't really need to go into more detail than that. Moving on to another unforgivable curse, and this is the Cruciatus Curse. It's used to torture someone by inflicting unbearable pain without actually causing any physical harm. It's used by only the most malevolent wizards, such as Death Eaters, and it's a dark spell often avoided by those who just have good intentions. So only those evil ones inside would be the ones who would actually look to use this. The next one is Prior Incantato. So this is a spell that will reveal the last spell that was used on someone's wand. It's introduced in the Goblet of Fire when Harry and Draco have a duel. Now, it's not commonly discussed or used, but if something was happening, suspicious event, maybe, I don't know, someone's turned up missing, dead, a dark mark was put in the sky, they're going to want to check anyone who they suspect to see what their last spell was, and that is how you would do that. Now, the next one, again, isn't technically a spell, but it's a magical object that doesn't really get used that much in the Harry Potter world, and that is the Vanishing Cabinet. Now, we do know that in the Half-Blood Prince, this is when Malfoy does actually start to use the Vanishing Cabinet. We know you have to have a pair. If you put something in one side, it'll appear the other side. And a lot of Draco's movements during that movie was to try and get people from outside of Hogwarts into Hogwarts to obviously unalive Dumbledore as the main goal. The reason I've mentioned it in this list is that the spells associated with the Vanishing Cabinet are either long forgotten or not really widely taught. So unless you knew what it was or had someone who knew what a Vanishing Cabinet was, chances are you weren't going to know how to use it, what it was, how they work. Okay, so we've got two more left. Now, the next one we do know that Harry uses. He used it once, and that is Septum Sempra. So this, again, appears in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. It causes deep cuts and severe bleeding in the victim. So Severus Snape actually created this spell as a student. He wrote it into this copy of his Advanced Potions book, and when Harry found it, he he used it. He didn't know what it was, but he used it anyway. I mean, seriously. It's considered to be forbidden or forgotten because of how violent it actually is as a spell. And like I said, Harry used it not actually understanding what it does and the full extent of what it does. Luckily, however, for obviously various reasons, Snape was nearby and was able to reverse the effects. But that's another one that you hear about once and then it doesn't get mentioned again. And then the last one in our list of forgotten and, to be honest with you, obscure spells and objects is Horcrux creation. So creation of Horcruxes is deeply ancient and completely forbidden because it involves splitting someone's soul and hiding it in places or people of, objects to achieve immortality. Now, it's not 100% known how a Horcrux is made, but it's extremely dark magic. My understanding is that in order to create a Horcrux, you have to kill someone. That is the impression you get. That is what Slughorn says, and also in research, that is what it does say. I know that at one point, I think it was in Albania, Voldemort killed a homeless man, and so you could create another Horcrux there. So that is how it happens. This list I've got, for some reason, says that it's not widely known, but it does actually detail it in the book. So it's not a single spell, it is a complex series of rituals. And as I said, it's so dark, it's been either forbidden or forgotten and hidden from the general Wizarding community. But that's it, guys. That's all I wanted to do for this video. I just wanted to share some other spells that were actually in the Harry Potter universe via the books, or some that were picked up in the films. Like I said, Harry only really ever seems to perform one spell, Expelliarmus or maybe Accio to get his broom, but that was really it. Majority of the other spells, if he does use them in the books, aren't definitely translated into the films. So I just wanted to share some of the ones that we might be missing from the movie. But that's everything for this video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. We've got some really fun stuff coming up this year, and until next time, you take care.